Originally, I speculated that Stan Pines was more withdrawn from romantic pursuits. Enter Roadside Attraction, and not only is Stanley a snake oil salesman, but a slick pickup artist. He's not withdrawn from romance. Rather, he's more inclined to play the game and live in the moment. Taking a broad, sweeping approach, there's less likelihood of making a deep, meaningful connection with any one of his romantic prospects. Near the end of the episode, Stan admitted to being divorced and having a string of failed relationships. This makes sense, considering how rare viewers see his soft side, and how reluctant Stan is to express himself, Madonna style, in general. It took time, chiseling, and understanding for Stan to develop the kind of bond he has with his grandniece and nephew. Stan can be selfish, callous, and a bit careless, but his gruffness is a defense mechanism. He's never quite gotten over falling out with his twin brother and best friend Ford, or getting kicked out by his family. His relationship with Carla may or may not play a role here. Carla is the one love interest he's referenced and talked about in glowing terms. And Stan did care enough to seek revenge and incur property damage. If a wrecked van doesn't express how much young Mr. Fines is set over heels, I don't know what does. There's another dimension in how Stan approaches the ladies, too. Compare how Stan approaches Darlene with how he acted around Lazy Susan earlier in the series. Around Darlene, he approaches with a confident swagger, a flashy grin, and a cornball joke. Around Susan, he still cracked cornball jokes and dropped lines, but there was a kind of charming nervousness to it, a Dipper brand endearing awkwardness. Stan has definitely spent a little time mooning over a gal if there's at least a little awkwardness in its approach. Also in Roadside Attraction, Dippy once again approaches grumpy old codger Stanley for romantic advice. Given Stan's playbook and a little encouragement, Dipper adopts a new approach quite easily. He finally taps into the confident, comfortable in his own skin Dipper that appears in the episode Northwest Mansion Noir. Think about how he came across in that episode. He was level-headed, blunt, and open-minded Dipper, but bringing his A-game and knowledge of the paranormal and actively referencing Journal Number 3. He adapted and acted according to the shifting circumstances and stakes. Keep that in mind, and Stan's advice helped Dipper channel his brand of the magic charisma and confidence combo that drives the ladies crazy. Though, unlike in Northwest Mansion Noir, Dipper pushed aside the sympathetic ear and understanding that appealed to Pacifica. Not necessarily in the respect of being romantic, though. Those traits are what open doors to open communication and deeper intimacy with people. Traits that are important in developing both platonic and romantic relationships. That said though, Dipper never completely lost sight of this idea. He was just caught up in a euphoric, triumphant rush and continued playing with Stan's approach. I think part of that falls in line with trusting Stan's judgment. Dipper tends to be at odds with Stan. It's rare when they touch base and get along. Plus, Dipper didn't shy away from pointing fingers when Stan was close to opening the portal in that uber-important Gravity Falls game-changing episode. Maybe continuing with Stan's technique, despite his better judgment, was in part Dipper wanting to strengthen renewed trust in his grunkle. Roadside Attraction features one of those big bonding moments between Stan and Dipper, a moment that touches on one-to-one and man-to-man understanding. Dipper's big hero and inspiration is Ford, but Stan knows the trials, tribulations, and hardships of becoming a man and falling in love. Where Ford is a man of hard logic, role-playing, and science, Stan is a man's man, a font of streetwise and personal anecdotes. If anything, Roadside Attraction cements how important a role model Stan is to Dipper, providing a nice, satisfying end to the dynamic introduced in Dreamscapers.